Yes. All right. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. Today we are doing a Vidcode 101 for schools, and I will go through just a lot of the nuts and bolts about the Vidcode curriculum, both for high school, middle school, and upper elementary. We'll focus on high school. And yeah, you'll leave with resources that you can start using in your classroom immediately. So with that in mind, let me kick this into gear. So Vidcode is an online coding platform, really focused on connecting coding to tweens and teens' interests both inside and outside of school. We are a self-guided platform for students. So if you are in a virtual or in-person environment right now, I know a lot of people are virtual. This is a great coding tool if you want full semester year-long courses, as well as if you're looking for some supplementary coding education for your students. And something that's kind of unique about Vidcode is students will create a lot of in-depth programs, but they will kind of include memes and augmented reality and simulations and a lot of kind of interactive and web development based projects. So if you do start using the Vidcode curriculum, your students will develop proficiency in a couple different things. Computer science, we follow all the K-12 computer science standards. So they can complete a full Computer Science 1 high school course. They'll be proficient in Computer Science 1, be proficient in JavaScript, and also be proficient in object-oriented programming. So this is a great, JavaScript's a great first object-oriented programming language. It relates a lot to other object-oriented programming languages such as Python or Java. So a lot of high schools use us, 9th through 11th grade as one of the first coding experiences for their kids, or as another coding experience for their kids who have maybe done Python or some other language and want to get deeper into web development and JavaScript. So with that, let me see. Just gonna go ahead and log out. All right, so I'm gonna just one-on-one walk through how to create an account and start checking out Vidcode for yourself. So if you head to vidcode.com, you can go ahead and create an account. And if you're a teacher, you should go ahead and sign up as an educator. Make sure to create your account before your students do, because you will be given a unique link that will automatically add students to your educator account. So I'm going to go ahead and click into that educator account. I'm going to log in to the teacher account that I have here. We have Google, Office. We do also have Clever integrations as well. All right, so I just logged into my Vidcode classroom here, and one thing that you'll see first right at the top is your sections, and so that is really your class. And so if you kind of click in, I just want to show you how to add students first and foremost. So if you go into your first section, you can go to the dashboard, and here you will find all the information you need to add students to your class. And you can add unlimited students, try it out with unlimited students, and if you choose to subscribe to the extended content, also use it with unlimited students at schools. So we're all about impact here at Vidcode. Oh, let me let a few more people in. So perfect. So here we are in the dashboard for your class. You can add a co-teacher just by pressing the plus sign. And you can also add students via this unique URL. So you can just go ahead and copy this URL. And then if you share this URL with your students, they will be automatically added to your classroom here and your roster. You can also use a classroom code if you prefer. In that case, you would just ask your students to sign up as a student, and they'll be prompted to, they'll be asked for a classroom code, and you can share this code for them. definitely in the virtual environment, this sharing this URL is sometimes the easiest way to add students to your class. Let's see here. Perfect, and once students are added, they will be shown here in your roster. Vidcode has a ton of different ways to track student learning between students. You can see their progress, what assignments they've finished, what work they've completed, as well as quiz scores as well. We do have automated quizzes in Vidcode, and so you can see what your student has scored, their average score, as well as the attempts to help you auto grade. And then we also have lesson plans and resources for you as a teacher that you can access right away today after this webinar. That includes all the standards alignment, suggested agendas, which works really well for both in-person and virtual classrooms, as well as debugging guides and grading rubrics. So today I'm going to talk through the very first lesson that we have in Vidcode. I'm going to go ahead and head over to the course library. Before I do that, I'm just going to show you guys a couple student projects here. So, just going back to the kind of video element of Vidcode, Vidcode really allows students who are new to programming or have even been exposed to programming a little bit, that will allow them to do even more cool effects on Vidcode. But here is a great project recently made by a student who gave us permission to share this project. And you can see here that he has, it's really a fun, interactive and social way to learn code here. He's created a little video collage of him and his friend interacting in the classroom. The projects do build so that students start to build timers and add their own custom functions and methods into the program. And again, that kind of creativity continues to build along with it. And so here we can see a timer built based on how many times the sad photo has been shown on the screen. So this is a pretty cool project, and also relatively simple in its execution, which is great. As students advance as well, they do start to work with logic and conditionals, and they can build different experiences such as quizzes and timers and again, kind of projects that really that can be customized for their own conceptual ideas. As students build their projects, they have huge portfolios that they build as they start to iterate and build on their programming and games and physics and all types of things as they traverse through the curriculum. So let me go ahead and show you how these projects are made. I'm going to enter JavaScript 101, which is where most students start on Vidcode. And in JavaScript 101, each of our courses are very modular. They include roughly 10 activities, which equates to about 10 hours of classroom time. About 50% of that classroom time is on the self-guided tutorials, and the rest is agenda items that are included in the lesson plans, like discussion items, code challenges, so on and so forth. So you can definitely assign these via a virtual classroom if you're leading your own virtual or in-person classroom. You can also assign a self-guided supplementary coding curriculum for your students, and they can go through it on their own sequentially, step by step through each tutorial here. So let me show you how that works. All right, so here I am in the first coding tutorial, and the first step in most Vidcode tutorials is to upload a photo or video, and that becomes the canvas for your students' coding creation. So a lot of schools and libraries like Vidcode, because it's a nice kind of change of pace from some of the more sprite-oriented coding environments. Here, we're really using multimedia as the canvas. So they just uploaded, and it also makes it very easy to integrate other ideas or other assignments as well if you're doing cross-disciplinary projects. So as a student, I just selected a video for my background, and now I can step through the self-guided instructions on the left. I'm going to be introduced to what is programming and what is JavaScript, a very powerful web development programming language. I'll then be prompted to start dragging and dropping lines of code. So we do start with a drag and drop environment. Here at Vidcode, I'm going to be introduced to what JavaScript functions are in this kind of very interactive visual way. And then I would be prompted to start playing with hex color, learning what hex color is, how web developers choose colors for their websites. I'll also start to be introduced to the concept of values. And in doing so, I can start to adjust this value on this tilt fit filter function and see how it changes the intensity of that filter. I can start to play with the order of operations here, add different lines of code. This code editor is a professional grade code editor, so we're using real JavaScript here. In addition to a graphics library that we built in JavaScript, and we have the reference for that library here. So as your students advance, they can work in this sandbox environment and start coding totally customized projects. Also, as they begin to advance through the curriculum, they will start to type their own code in a scaffolded environment, start to place text on the screen, start to learn how to animate that text. And so every step of the way in these lessons, they're learning how to build more special effects as they get deeper and deeper into the concepts of object-oriented programming. And so with that in mind, I'll skip through, I'll go kind of halfway through the lesson here, which is actually how we kind of suggest if you are doing this in a virtual environment, it's great to kind of open up the tutorial just as I did today. You can, every single one of our lesson plans has a sample solution, so you can kind of even show the students the end product at the beginning, and then walk through the first couple steps with them, and then leave, you know, maybe the second half for them to complete with you in the virtual environment. And then at the end of class, students can save their draft if they're not done, or they can submit their projects. We do have coding reflection questions that you can share, you know, in the chat with your students or in the classroom. And they can use this description box to document their project and what they learned. So learned about JavaScript and functions. All right. And then once their project is exported, it will look like this, kind of like a YouTube video with code. And we'll have their documentation there. They can go back and remix the project, a great way. We have a lot of students who help each other debug by remixing each other's projects. They can download the project or also share it, because this URL up here is unique. They have it forever, and it's not associated with any personal student data. So they can share that with their family, their friends, and there's also a lot of ways for you to make your own custom private classroom galleries with selected student work. So typically at the end of a virtual classroom, especially in the last 6 or 9 months here, it's really great at the end of class for students to just copy and paste their URL into the chat. And you can leave 5 or 10 minutes at the end of each classroom to do a show and tell of students' work. Because Vidcode is open-ended and very much uses multimedia, this is a great way to let students be self-expressive even as they're learning kind of new concepts. So every single class period, they'll be creating something different, something new, and something that they can be proud of. So that's a little start to end of what a self-guided tutorial on Vidcode looks like. I'm going to go back to kind of the home page here just by clicking the Vidcode logo in the upper left-hand corner. And I'm going to just walk through a little more of what the course library looks like, as well as lesson plans. And then please feel free to put any questions in the chat box that you might have. And I'll try to address those today as well. So in terms of course library, great for you guys to check out. Again, you can create a free account today. and start playing with the tutorials. We have some introductory tutorials that are available for you right away with a free account. And then we do have classroom accounts that start at $599. We can always create a custom quote for you. And that opens up all the content on Vidcode, so both our middle school and high school tracks. So in middle school, we have a semester-long exploratory JavaScript course. We also have a cross-disciplinary course, which is oftentimes used in upper elementary as well. And in high school, we have our full-year Computer Science 1 course that goes all the way into simulations and data visualizations, data and networks, all the K-12 standards that you would expect. We actually do also follow the AP computer science principles standards as well through this computer science track. We do also have a game development course, which is a great applications-based modular course that can be really fun if you want to do something that's more like a multi-week experience with your students. Yeah, and with that in mind, let's see. I'm going to go ahead. I showed you a couple student projects here. Other good things to take note of, if you do have some advanced coders already, they can just jump into the Vidcode coding sandbox, and they will have access to all of the special effects and functions that we integrate into our lessons. So there's a lot of different things they can drag and drop in here and start to play with, which is really fun. We do also have and I'll just reiterate again with the lesson plans and resources. This is a great place for you as teachers if you're checking out Vidcode for your classroom. There's just a ton of information in here we go through. We have every single lesson plan for every single course available here for you. We have overviews. They're all printable. So this can be a great way to bookmark or check out our curriculum if you're looking at using Vidcode in the future. And again, we integrate all the standards. So we are aligned with CSTA, computer science standards, as well as NGSS, the CSTA computer science standards, and the K-12 computer science pathway. And then we also do have our reflection questions, sharing. We have the sample solution in every single lesson plan. So it really enables you to launch the class the next day, with this kind of cheat sheet of information to show to your students. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the demo, we always have a sample solution, so you can kind of use that to show kids at the beginning of class, okay, here's what we're gonna make, here's the background, let's start doing the first couple steps together, let them finish the tutorial live, and then do a little show and tell at the end of class. We have hundreds of activities that are formatted in this way, so you have a ton of material, whether you want semester-long, year-long, multi-week long experiences using the Vidcode content. And with that in mind, I will go ahead and just leave a minute or two if there are any questions. Let me check the chat here. Great, thanks, Tom. If a student does a bunch of work in your classroom and then leaves but wants to keep coding, yeah, they can keep all of their work from the classroom. All they have to do is press save draft, and it will save that version of their work. And also, if they leave your class or want to come back to it, they will have forever access to the projects they created. So their portfolio will never disappear. With our paid accounts, you just have, we have about 10 free activities on our free account, and then we have about 200 activities on our paid account. So that would be the only thing that students would ever lose access to, is just that long-term curriculum. So great question, thanks so much. Yeah, but they can always keep their work. That's really important to us from an impact perspective, that students can create portfolios and all that good stuff. Oh, great, love that you're a math teacher and you include STEAM. Vidcode is actually aligned to Common Core math standards as well. So many of our tutorials also include those standards. And there's a ton of algebra and geometry and some really core math skills that is involved with Vidcode. And obviously, as you could kind of see today, there's a huge artistic element to Vidcode as well. So it would be really well suited for a math teacher such as yourself who wants to incorporate STEAM materials as well. So thanks for that question. And with that in mind, I'm going to leave you guys with a getting started with Vidcode PowerPoint here. Actually, it's a Google Slides link. Let me just post that in the chat. And I will also send it to everyone who's watching via email. And this kind of reiterates a lot of what I shared today on the demo, how to set up an account for free, how to add students, how to start going through the materials, and all that good stuff to get up and running. And so with that in mind, yeah, so just to go over pricing, so we have classroom prices, which are $599 for a teacher. And then we do also have site licenses, which are used for schools and sometimes small districts. And that's $2,900 a year, which is up to 10 teachers and unlimited students. So that definitely is very popular with many of our schools and school districts. Yeah, and the classroom license is unlimited for students. So that allows you to, as a single teacher, that $599 price, you can really, if you have multiple classes, let's say 90 students, you can use it with all 90 students. So it's a really good deal in that respect. Thanks for that additional question, very important. Awesome, well, I so appreciate, oh cool, yeah, I was thinking maybe you have 90 students. So appreciate your questions today and everyone who could join. Apologize for the link error for everyone who is watching this via email. And look forward to, we'll host another one next week. We have a lot of these. So if you know a teacher or anyone else who wants to check Vidcode out, feel free to let me know. I'm putting my personal email in here, ali@vidcode.com. I'll also send that via email with the recording. And yeah, we host a lot of these, so please invite your friends. And also, if you have any specific questions about your classroom or about your classroom or a specific school implementation, we'd be happy to set up a separate call. So with that, I know someone just joined. I'm sorry for the delays. I'm going to stop the recording.